You've built your reputation on precision and expertise. Now let your website reflect it. Introducing SFREP Websites, custom designed sites made exclusively for residential real estate appraisers. We handle everything in-house, from your new domain and written content to a polished and professional look right here in North Carolina. Setup is free and hosting is only $25 a month or included at no additional cost with the Appraise-It Platinum plan. Launch your online presence today. Visit websites.sfrep.com, email sales@sfrep.com, or call 800-523-0872. SFREP, innovation for the real pro.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Matt over at SFREP. Glad you could join me today. We are going to be going over Appraise-It Pro, kind of give you a primer, give you everything that you need to know in order to start using Appraise-It Pro. Because for a lot of you, you've been holding on to Appraise-It Classic, and I get it, but now's the time to start learning Appraise-It Pro so that you can be ready for the new UAD 3.6. When you learn Appraise-It Pro and how to do regular reports that you do now, the UAD 2.6 reports, you're going to then have everything that you need to know in order to do UAD 3.6 reports in Appraise-It Pro, because you're lucky in that we have implemented the new UAD 3.6 in a way that makes it very similar to what you've been doing for decades in filling out reports and creating reports. And it's going to be very, very similar. And we'll go over that a little bit at the end of this webinar. Okay. So first of all, if you've never done one of these webinars before, there's going to be a little toolbar down at the bottom of the video when you mouse over the video if you're watching on a desktop or a laptop computer. And when you press on that, you'll see that there's going to be some bracket icons. If they're elongated rectangle, that's going to put YouTube into theater mode, which will make it easier for you to be able to see the video. If you click on the little bracket icon, that is going to make it go full screen. Now that's going to be great because you'll be able to see everything, but you are going to lose the chat. So just keep that in mind. Also, please forgive me if my voice is a little bit weird. I am getting over a pretty terrible cold and I may need to take a drink of water while we're doing this, but hopefully it's not going to be too weird. So let's take a look at Appraise-It Pro. As you can see here on my screen, I have two icons. Well, I got three icons. I've got an Apex Portal here. Apex Portal is going to be our new mobile app. You can use it right now just for sketching, but it is going to be expanded so that it has data collection for both UAD 2.6 and 3.6, and it is going to have photo management as well. And then eventually it's going to have scan to sketch later next year. But you'll notice that I have the Appraise-It Classic icon on my desktop, and I have the Appraise-It Pro icon on my desktop. And that is because you can install and use Appraise-It Pro and Appraise-It Classic. So you can, if you're using Appraise-It Classic now, you can install Appraise-It Pro, and it's not going to interfere with Appraise-It Classic, and you can kind of start learning and moving over at your own pace. You can even do things like start a report in Appraise-It Classic and then pull it up in Appraise-It Pro and finish it in Appraise-It Pro, and kind of use that as a way to learn how to use the software. So let me go ahead and pull up Appraise-It Pro here. When you first launch the program, you are going to be in what's called the backstage. And I guess the people at Microsoft are kind of recovering theater nerds or theater geeks or whatever, as a lot of us are. And they wanted to use that terminology to kind of give you an idea. So what they call it is, this is the backstage, and then this is the front stage. And this is where you would actually edit a report, and you'll see that later. Right now, I don't have a report open, so it's just blank. To get back to the backstage, I just click on the black file menu icon there, or the file menu selection, and that's going to take me back here. You can kind of think of this as a super file menu, because everything that's in the file menu in Appraise-It Classic is located here in the backstage. And to get back and forth, like I said, you click on the arrow and then you click on the file menu. So here we have a couple of menu selections. We have welcome, which is where we are right now. We also have new open search settings. We have a couple of selections here that I'm not really going to go over. They're ghosted out right now because we don't right now have a report open. But they're also duplicated in the home menu, which you'll see later. So I don't really go over them. They're also pretty self-explanatory. We also have new window and exit. Exit obviously exits the program, does the same thing as clicking the X in the upper right-hand corner. New window, however, is kind of cool because when you click on that, it will actually open up a new instance of Appraise-It Pro. So you can have multiple instances of Appraise-It Pro with multiple reports open at the same time. So you can copy and paste between them. So you can open up an old report from Appraise-It Classic in one window and then have a new report that you're creating in another window and be able to copy and paste between them or reference, whatever you want to do. Now, when you first open it up, you're in this welcome area. This is just a way for us to communicate with you. We put, just tidbits of information here that we don't want to send out in an email blast or call you about. So we put them here, and we don't ever put flashy GIFs or images or anything like that here. It's just going to be text. And right now you can see the last time that we updated it was in August 29th, and that was when we opened up our preview. Or excuse me, September. Well, it was August 29th. And then that was when we started doing our kind of closed preview. You had to email our beta@sfrep.com account and sign an NDA. But now the UAD 3.6 is available to everyone, and I'll show you that here in a little while. Next, we have new. This is just like the file index in Appraise-It Classic, file new. And this is all of the different report types that you can start a new report from. Very similar to Appraise-It Classic. If you double click on it, it's going to open up a blank report, and it is, as long as this checkbox down here in the lower right is checked, which it is by default, it's going to include suggested forms in the default template. So there is one, and what we mean by that, there's a big tidbit of information that you're going to need to know and understand. And if you do, Appraise-It Pro is just going to click for you. It's just going to make a lot of sense. And I'll let you know when we get to that place where I really start explaining it. But what you really need to know right now is in Appraise-It Classic, you built your report at the end when you were ready to deliver it and create the final Mismo XML or print it or whatever you were going to do. In Appraise-It Pro, you create your report at the beginning and as you are actually filling out the report. So you're building it then, and then you just, create the Mismo XML at the end. You're not actually building the contents of the report. All right. So what this means is that when you open up a blank report, when this is checked, it's going to include things in that container, in that empty report vessel. Things like your mapping pages, things like some photo pages, some additional comps, things like that, things to get you started. 9 times out of 10, 9.99 times out of 10, you're going to want to have this checked. Okay. So all I need to do if I wanted to open up a UAD 2.6 report is just simply come here to the 1004, and I can either double click here and it's going to open up that blank default template, or I can come over here and I can open up a template that I've already created. If you're wondering what a template is, it's nothing more than a skeleton. So in Appraise-It Classic, we call them skeletons. In Appraise-It Pro, we call them templates. They are very different from each other under the hood, but they accomplish the same thing, which is you can pre-fill out things and have them ready to go. It's very similar to cloning in Appraise-It Classic. That's basically what templates are in Appraise-It Pro. You can pre-fill out things, build a report, structure it the way you want, and then open up that template each time to create a new report, and everything is there waiting for you and ready to go, and all your customizations are there for you. And I'll show you how to make these templates in a minute. They're very simple. All a template is it's just a regular report file that's been promoted to template status. So that makes it really easy. So I can double click here, or I can double click on my template. So we'll come back and we'll do this here in a minute. You can also search. So if I wanted to search for 2055, all I have to do is type in 2055 up here in this little search box, and now it's going to show me everything that references a 2055. And that's going to include, and it can show up in multiple places. The same thing can show up in multiple places. So It can show up under Fannie Mae. It can show up under Freddie Mac. There's non-lender versions of the 2055. There's also the old legacy forms from 1997 to 2005. Those forms are there as well. And it'll also show up under frequently used. Okay, because we every time you open up one of these, it kind of gets a little tick mark, and then we put it into the frequently used section right here so that it's always there, ready for you for your most frequently used items. And you may have seen that when I did that. If I do a search for 1004, you don't have to hit enter or anything. It's just going to automatically search for you when you're done. And then if I want to see everything again, I just click on that X and now I see everything. You can also collapse these sections. So if I never do non-lender work, I can collapse the non-lender section. Or if I do a lot of non-lender work, I can collapse other sections and only have this open along with maybe the UID 2.6. So let's move on. And next we're going to go to open. You're probably not going to use open all that much, but it does have its uses. The main way you're probably going to use the open section is going to be the recent reports. So if you worked on something 2 days ago, instead of you having to go and search for it, which we'll go over in a minute, and have to find it that way, it's just going to be listed here. Like the last 20 reports that you worked on are going to be listed here. And so I can go, okay, 2 days ago, there it was, Jefferson.rptx. I can just double click on that and just open it up. That way it saves me time. I don't have to go searching for it. You can also use this section to open up a Appraise-It Pro report file. You're probably not going to do that. You're probably going to search for it, but this can be handy if a colleague or a friend sent you a report. You can use this to go and browse it and open it up. You can also open up a classic report. Once again, you're probably not going to do this very often because your classic reports get indexed by Appraise-It Pro and get treated like they're regular Appraise-It Pro reports. So you're going to be able to search through them. You're going to be able to open them up. You're going to be able to edit them just as if they were regular Appraise-It Pro reports. And then finally, there's Open Mismo document. This is really only going to be advantageous for you if, once again, a colleague sends you a report, but they're not using Appraise-It Pro. They're using a la mode or they're using Bradford. They can send you the Mismo XML file that they would send to their lender, and then you can open it up and you can have access to it and view it and grab information from it if you wish. There's also Open Template. Once again, don't anticipate using it all that often, but we do have one selection here for Open Classic Skeleton. A lot of people ask, hey, are you going to convert all my skeletons over to Appraise-It Pro automatically? And the answer is no. We did that initially, but in testing, people told us they didn't like that because they had just tons and tons and tons of old skeletons that they didn't use anymore, and it brought over a bunch of junk. So what we recommend you do is you recreate your skeletons in Appraise-It Pro, and there's two reasons for this. One, you're going to have nice, clean skeletons to start fresh with, or templates, excuse me. And then two, in filling out those templates, you're going to learn how to use Appraise-It Pro. It's going to be a great way to kind of learn how to do this. Now, we do understand you may have some very complex template or skeletons in Appraise-It Classic that you don't want to redo and retype everything. That's why we give you this. You can open up that skeleton. When you click on it, you'll be able to browse in the skeleton. And then it will open it up like it's a regular report. Clean it up, and then you can save it as a template. And I'll show you how to save a template. It's super easy here in a little bit. Next is search. This is like the file index in Appraise-It Classic. And this is fully customizable. So this is just like in Appraise-It Classic, it's an exclusionary search. So the more items that I fill out here, the more targeted the search results are going to be. So if I give it a county, it's going to show me everything, and I click on search. It's going to show me every report that I've done in Mecklenburg County. I don't use this for doing appraisals, so I have a very limited amount of document or reports that are in here, so it doesn't show anything. But let's say, Mecklenburg's it's where Charlotte's located in North Carolina. It's a very large county. I mean, there's almost 1 million people in the county. So there's going to be a lot of reports in here. So I'm going to want to target that a little bit more. So I can come in here and I can put in, or actually, you know what? We'll come in here and put in Pineville, which is a smaller town in the larger Mecklenburg County, not Charlotte's a suburb. That's going to give me much fewer results. And then I can even go further and I can say, give it a zip code. If there's multiple zip codes within Pineville, there's not, but if there were, I could put that in there. And then maybe even give it a partial street, and I can say Pine. And what it would do is now when I would search, it may only pull up 1 or 2 reports. So that's what an exclusionary report is. I'm going to clear all this stuff out with this clear button here. Now, let's say that you're only licensed in or certified in North Carolina. And so you're never going to be searching by state because everything is going to be in North Carolina. Well, what you can do is you can use this little trash can icon here and get rid of state. So you can, this is fully customizable. Now, let's say you eventually get certified or licensed in South Carolina. Well, now I need to put state back. So what I can do is under add field, I can pull this down, scroll down here, and I'm going to find state. But now it's kind of orphaned down by itself in the last section here. So I can use these little up and down arrows to move it back where it was, which would be right after city. So now it's back where it was. And temporarily, if you need to search by something else, if I know I'm not going to be searching by, let's say, case number, I can temporarily change case number to something else, maybe project name, and now I can search by project name. And then when I'm done, I can put it back. So what does it look like when you do a search? So I'll do a search here, and I'm just doing a blank search because I only have like maybe 6 records in here. 6 records exactly. So these are my search results. We'll pretend that I did a targeted search here. I can single click on these and see a front view photo for that particular report, for the subject of that report. And then I can see some information about that particular report as well. So I can see what the invoice fee was, the invoice date, the address, things like that. That aids me in knowing at a glance that I've got the right report that I want to open up. I can also scroll out here to the right, and I'll be able to see every single data point that is stored about these particular reports. And keep in mind, I can also do a search for an address that wasn't used as a subject, that was maybe used as a like a comp or a listing, and it'll show me that report as well. Okay. So when I found it and I know that this is the report I want, all I have to do is simply double click here, or I can click on open report down here at the bottom. I can also click on open work file. An open work file can also be found in the, I think it's under home. I think it's under home. Yeah, open work file. If I had a report open, it wouldn't be ghosted out like it is right now. What that is that's a place for you to put stuff, information, files, photos, whatever, about this particular address or that go with this particular report that maybe aren't included in the report. Okay, so let's say you took 25 photos out there, but you only ended up using maybe 15 of those photos. You could put the rest of the photos, just dump them into the work file, and they'll be there and be waiting for you if you ever need them. Let's say if you have to go to court or something like that. If you have extra PDFs that support the value of the property, but you just didn't end up using them in the report, you could put them in the work file. And that way they're associated with that particular address and that particular report from here until eternity. And if you need to, you can go back and you can find that information once again, like if you had to go to court or something like that. So what you could do is do a search, find that report, click on open work file, and then it would open up the work file. And then just in here, I've just dumped some random photos. I'm an aviation nerd, if you couldn't tell from the background that I have. Everything back here is all plane related. So that's why I've got a bunch of plane photos in there. I kind of use it to just mess around with. So in this particular case, for this particular report, I just had some images in there. Finally, there's settings. And settings is exactly what you think it is. Here's where you can come in and make Appraise-It Pro your own. You can change colors around. You can change folders. For most of you, I would say only come in here if you have one of our tech support people on the line with you. But if you're adventurous, you can come in here and change things around and make Appraise-It Pro work the way you want it to work. If you do come in here and change something, though, you may want to jot down on a Post-it note or something what you changed. That way, if you don't like the result, you can easily change it back. Okay, so let's come back up here into the new section, and we are going to open up a UAD 2.6 1004. We're just going to open up a blank one, so it'll be easy to see things when we monkey around with it. And here you go. This is the UAD 2.6, the current UAD interface in Appraise-It Pro. And if you are coming over from Appraise-It Classic, which most of you are, it's going to look very similar. The concepts are very, very similar. It's a WYSIWYG interface. What you see is what you get. We are using some colors to denote different fields and how those fields are different and how they act and behave. And in the format panel down here, you can see a color key. Now, that's going to bring up panels. We introduced panels in Appraise-It Classic with UAD. We have the UAD helper panel and the little help panel. We've kind of run with that concept in Appraise-It Pro. You have 4 primary panels. There's actually 5, but there's 4 primary panels. There's report, validator, responses, and format. The 5th one is this little help one, which is tabbed right here. Okay, so you can flip back and forth between responses and help. Most of you are not going to need the help tab. That's more for if you have trainees that are coming in. Every single field in Appraise-It Pro has help text written for it. It's going to be the same way in Appraise-It or in UAD 3.6 as well. So it tells you exactly what you need to put into that field. So if you have any trainees, they can probably find this very valuable. So let's going to go over each of these panels real quick, okay? The most important one is report, the report panel, which is what we're looking at right here. Now, remember a couple minutes ago, I told you there is going to come a point here in this webinar where you really want to pay attention because I'm going to be going over a concept that if you get this concept, if you understand it, it will make moving over to Appraise-It Pro very simple. Everything's going to click for you. And that's what we're going to do right now when we're talking about the report panel. This is essentially the table of contents of your report. This is showing the order in which the sections are in the report, and it's showing you which sections are actually in the report. This is kind of what the contents menu item was in Appraise-It Classic. However, it's also, once again, showing you the order and the contents of the actual report itself. So with Appraise-It Classic, you would have selected an item and that would have flagged it as being edited. And then you would have made sure to include that page at the very end when you were building the report. Well, here, it's in the report. This is everything that's in the report that you're going to be delivering and in the order that you need it. So in here, if I want to put the location map at the front of the report, all I need to do is click and hold and drag it up here and put it at the beginning of the report. Or I can move it back by clicking, dragging it, putting it back down here after the flood map. If you do not need something in your report, let's say you don't need a flood map for this particular report, you can just highlight flood map, click on remove, say yes, and it's gone. You want to keep this nice and tidy. You don't want anything in this list that is not going to be in the final report, because you want to be able to look at this report panel and know in an instant exactly what was contained in your report. So if you come back to this report 3 weeks later, you want to be able to look at this panel and go, oh, this is exactly what I sent to my lender. So keep this nice and tidy, delete anything that you're not ending up using. Now, let's say you need to add something. Let's say that I actually do need that flood map. Well, I can come up here and I can click on add. This is going to bring up the add remove forms dialog here. And what I can do is I can just do a search. And so I'm going to do a keyword search for flood. And there's my flood map. Now, once again, it's going to show up in multiple locations under frequently used, under maps, under FEMA. This is a completely different one that just happens to mention flood, but this is what I'm looking for. And over here on the right, this is just a copy or a representation of what is in your report, or it's a representation of the report panel. So I can do one of two things. I can either double click here and it'll just add it down here at the bottom, but I don't want it there. So I'm going to remove that. I can use these little to and from arrow buttons here to add and remove things. Or I can actually drag it where I want it to be. And I wanted it to be right before the location map. Here's the location map. So I can just click and drag that so that it's right before the location map. Now, the changes haven't been made yet, so I can, monkey around with this and maybe move it up or move it down or wherever. But when I get it to where I want it, I just click on Save and Close. And now Flood Map is back in here. Now, you may have noticed that there's some icons to the left of each of these section headers. And if you're wondering what those mean, the star means that that is the primary report type. It's the form type, okay? So this can't be changed. It needs to stay in there, and it's got a star next to it because it's very important. One of the cool things is I could actually click on Add here, and instead of looking at addenda, I could pull this down and look at primary. And if I wanted to change this into a condo form, I could just simply add the condo report type into my report, and it would just automatically convert this report from a 1004 to a condo. So it makes it really easy. Instead of having to import the whole report, you can just change it by dropping the new report type in there. The lock icon means that that particular section of the report, that particular addenda, if you will, or addendum, if you will, it needs to be in the report for the report to function properly. So it's locked. You can't get rid of it. You don't have to deliver it. You can remove it from your container when you deliver it, but it does need to be in here so that the report can properly operate. Some of these don't have anything next to them, but some of them do have the green plus, which is very similar to the green plus that's up here under add. So you can probably figure out what that does. Sales comps right now, I have 1 through 3, of course, in the main body of the report. And then I have an addendum, which is comps 4 through 6. By the way, you saw when I double click that, it opened it up. And you may have noticed it up here at the top. It tabs it just like a browser. And if I don't want to look at comps 4 through 6 anymore, I can just click on the little X there. So there's comps 4 through 6. What if I want to add comps 7 through 9? Well, I just click on the little green plus next to it. And now it's going to add in comps 7 through 9. And it's going to put in comps 7 through 9 photos. We will be adding side-by-side comps into here, into the UAD 2.6 in 2026. We already have it for UAD 3.6. And you'll see that here in a little while. But for right now, it's very similar to the way it was in Appraise-It Pro or in Appraise-It Classic. But when I click on that little plus, not only does it add comps 7 through 9, it also adds comps 7 through 9 photos as well. Does that for you automatically. And if I don't need them anymore, just highlight them, click on remove, come up here, highlight it, click on remove, and it's out of there. Now, some of these, when I click on them, you'll see that when I'm up here for sketch, well, let's see. If I'm up here for listing comps, rename is ghosted out. But when I come down here to general photos, now I have that available to me. And this can be really helpful. A lot of people don't do this, but I find it very helpful. This tells me nothing about what's in this photo page. So this is 3 per page, 3 by 5. And this is 6 per page, 3 by 5. So I can open it up so you can look at it. That's what it looks like. Well, let's say this was garage photos. There's a really cool garage. Had to take a bunch of photos of it. Well, now what I can do is I can rename this to, garage photos 6/legal. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to kind of go by that same naming scheme. 6 legal. Let's hit OK. And now if I come back to this report 3 weeks from now, I don't have to open up that photos page. I know exactly what's in there. And I only have to open up if I need to look at those photos. So that can make it really easy for you to know what is in your report just at a glance. All right, that's our report panel. You can go back to your usual level of paying attention, but that once you understand how the report is constructed, how it is put together, and then how you're going to actually build it, that's going to make moving over to Appraise-It Pro so much easier. All right, validator panel. This is very similar to the way it was in Appraise-It Classic. There is real-time validation happening. The easiest way for you to see the real-time validation in action is in the state field. I'm just going to type in NC, tab out, and it is perfectly happy with that, no problems at all. But if I have a fat finger and I type BC instead and I tab out, well, that's a Canadian province, British Columbia. It is not a U.S. state. So it turns it red. So I can come back in here. Now let's say it turns it red, and let's say I don't notice and I'm way down here in the grid, but I glance over here and I notice that there's a big red X there and it says hard stop state. I can single click on that and it'll tell me what's wrong. There's what's wrong. Now I can double click. It's going to jump me back to that section, and now I can make my correction, and now it's happy. And this will also work for the few. We do have a couple of customers in Puerto Rico, so that works. We have at least one customer in Guam, so that works. And I know we've got quite a few customers in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That also works. Before you deliver your report, though, you're going to want to do a comprehensive validation, and that's what the validate button is for. I'm not going to click it right now because it's going to freak out because it's a blank report and it's just going to go, everything is wrong. So I'm not going to do that. But when you're done with your report, before you actually deliver the report, you're going to want to click on that green validate. But if you forget to, no big deal, because it's also going to run that validation when you actually try to, create Mismo XML or print it. And there's also two rule sets with UAD 2.6. There's the FHA rule set and there's the UCDP or the regular GSE rule set. It will remember your selection from one time to another. So if you did do an FHA report, always double check this. Make sure that you switch it back to the proper rule set. Now the FHA rule set and the UCDP rule set are very, very similar. There's only a couple of small little differences. But you're going to want to make sure you're doing the right rule set. Up here in the upper right-hand corner is the Responses tab. And this is very similar to what you had in Appraise-It Classic with the toolbar at the top, the F key toolbar. However, we do let you do F keys, but we don't have an F key toolbar at the top. But you still can do F keys. So you can see in the city field here, I've got a bunch of them set up already. If I want to do Charlotte, I just hit F4 and it's going to put Charlotte in there for me. I can also just come over here and double click on Charlotte. It'll put it in there for me. The other cool thing I can do is I can just start typing CH. It knows I mean Charlotte. It's going to autofill it for me, and I just tab out of the field. And then finally, I can hit the F2 key, and then I can just stay on the keyboard and use my arrow keys to select Charlotte, put it in there, and tab out of the field. Real simple. Now, if you want to put something in here, let's see. I'm going to do Cramerton. That's a suburb of Charlotte, so I'm going to put in Cramerton. And if I want to add that to the list, I just come over here to Manage Responses. I can give it a title if I want. Really, the title is for if you're doing like multiple paragraphs. We're only at one word here, so we don't need to do that. And then I can click on Save and Close, and now Cramerton is in the list. If I want, I can come back in here for Cramerton, and I can assign it to an F key. So instead of Gastonia being F8, I want Cramerton to be F8. Click on Save. Actually, I have to get rid of it over here, so we'll get rid of that. Now I'll select F8 for Cramerton. Oh, that's right. So I need to come over here and select Cramerton. Yes. Okay, save. Nope, okay. It's going to be a little bit weird right now. But if I delete that response, and now we add Cramerton, and now we do F8, close. Now Cramerton has F8 assigned to it. So now I can come in here, hit F8. There we go. This is exactly how it is in Appraise-It Classic, by the way. As a matter of fact, this was just ripped straight out of Appraise-It Classic. So you should be familiar with how this looks. Finally, we have the format panel. When you are not in a formatted field, like you're not in a UAD formatted field, then this just shows you the color key. So right now you can see inactive field is blue, green field is a formatted field, warned field, and then if a field contains extended comments, it is a darker color blue. That's like this right here. All right. As soon as I go into a field, we'll choose something over here in the grid. As soon as I select one of these, now this turns into the UAD helper that you are familiar with from Appraise-It Classic. And it works the same way. So I can go overall location rating, beneficial, location type, waterfront, secondary location type is golf course, hit apply, and then it puts my little abbreviations in there. Cool thing is with Appraise-It or the UAD 3.6, this completely goes away. No more of these stupid abbreviations. You don't even have a format panel to deal with. Let's see. You can pull these, you can pull anything out of Appraise-It Pro and put it on another monitor. So if I have opened up my sales comps 4 through 6, I can click and drag this out. So now it's a free floating window. I can put it on another monitor if I want to. If I want, I can also pop it back in just like you would with a web browser. Pop it back in, and now it's a tab again, and then I can close it out. You can also do the same thing with these panels. So I can click and pull the panel out. I can resize it, make it bigger, and I can put it onto, a matter of fact, I could even make it take up the whole screen if I wanted to, and I can put it on another monitor if I want to. If you have like 3 monitors, this can be very helpful. That way it'll give you more editing space. And then if I want to put it back in, I just simply mouse over, and then I select this right. Well, actually, I'm going to want to do this. Get that little wheel that comes up. Now, invariably, you're going to do something like this by accident. And now you're like, oh God, what did I do? I've made a mess. Don't worry. All you got to do is come back over to view, reset the default, say yes, and it'll put everything back the way it was from the factory. You may also be wondering, hey, what is this portrait thing? When you click on it, it puts everything down at the bottom. Why would this be advantageous? If you use Appraise-It Pro on a tablet or a convertible and you want to use it in portrait mode, well, that would look more like something like this. If this was a tablet, and you can see that everything would be down here at the bottom. So now you have all of your panels available to you, and you have a visible report that you can use up here at the top. And then when you want to go back into landscape or you're done using it as a tablet, you just click on landscape. It's going to put everything back the way it was. You can also make these bigger or smaller. So if you don't really care about the validator panel all that much, you can shrink it down and you can have a bigger report panel, or you can do vice versa. The other thing you can do is if you have a low resolution screen, you can actually, let's pull report out here. Actually, let's leave report. Yeah, I'll put it back there. And I can pull validator out, and then I can put validator back in, but I'm going to select this, and that's going to start tabbing everything. So if I use that little center one, I can actually tab everything out. So now I have a lot larger editing space, and I can see it a lot better. And I can make this a little bit skinnier, make this bigger. And now I can just click and do little tabs over here if I want to, make everything a little bit more legible for you. And when you want to go back to the way it was, you just click on reset the default, and there you go. The final thing I want to show you, a couple of things having to do with the support tab. First of all, down here in the lower right-hand corner, you see right here where it says all services online. This is a really cool feature of Appraise-It Pro. It is always checking with our servers and seeing if everything is kosher. And if everything's great, it is going to keep it green down here and say all services online. However, this could, just like a stoplight, this little light could turn yellow. That would mean that there's a degraded service. Maybe there's something wrong with flood maps and they're being really slow. They're still working, but they're being slow, and we're investigating that. That might turn yellow. Or when we were having some weird routing issues with our phone system, we turned that yellow, and it was saying, hey, you might experience some dropped calls or something like that when you're trying to call us. We're looking into it. If it turns red, that means something is down. So if flood maps went down, it would turn red here. You could click on this and it would say service down, flood maps. That prevents you from having to call us and figure out if flood maps are down. And if you click on that, it'll open up a web browser and it will show you what is down. So in this case, everything is up, but it would give you more information like an estimated time of resolution, something like that. In the support menu up here at the top, and by the way, you may have noticed that we use a ribbon menu system just like Microsoft Office. If you're wondering why Appraise-It Pro looks a lot like Microsoft Office, it's because we develop it in the Microsoft development environment, and that's what Office is developed in. So we use a lot of the design cues from Office as well. So if you use Microsoft Office, you'll be very comfortable in Appraise-It Pro. In the support menu, you got your, what's new, check service status, which opens up that same website I just showed you. Check for updates, send feedback. This is for sending feedback about, something you want to sound off about. Not for getting tech support. Don't use this for tech support because it's going to slow down tremendously you getting help. You can also refer a friend, and get a free month of Appraise-It Pro. Registration, all this kind of stuff. Same stuff, a lot of the same stuff that was in Appraise-It Classic. We also have links to all of our socials up here in the upper right. And the support section is the important thing. If you want to send a message to support, you can do email here. That'll open up an email form for you to be able to fill out. You can also use the chat button here if you need to do, if you want to chat with our tech support. And then, of course, remote assistance and direct remote assistance as well. Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys with Appraise-It Pro in regards to the new the older UAD 2.6. Now, Bradford, ACI, both of them for their UAD 3.6 have chosen to make all new programs. And one of the drawbacks with that is that you're going to be doing UAD 2.6 and UAD 3.6 reports at the same time for a big chunk of 2025 and 2026. So with their software, you have to go back and forth between two different programs. With ours, if I want to switch over to a UAD 3.6 report, well, all I got to do is close out of this report, come over here to File. We're in the New section. Come down here to UAD 3.6. Right now it's in public preview. Double click it. And now I'm in a UAD 3.6 report. The cool thing about the way that we've implemented the UAD 3.6 that's different from most of the other software providers is that you are going to be filling out the report in pretty much the same way that you've been filling out UAD 2.6 reports for a decade. Or reports in general for multiple decades. It is what's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So ACI and Bradford, they chose to have a web-based version. You have to upload all your photos to, upload all of your exhibits to. And then you have to, they kind of guide you through the process step by step. So you fill out some information, click next, kind of like TurboTax. What we've done is you're filling out the report in much the same way that you've been filling out a UAD 2.6 report for a decade. Now, there's a couple of things that are different here. First of all, the format panel, it really doesn't do anything other than just show you a color key here, so you can get rid of it if you want, because these colors don't even apply to this report really that much anymore. This may go away. The report panel is same but different. You'll notice there aren't any icons here anymore. You cannot add to this. You cannot. You also can't move this around. The GSEs have set the order of the report. So you can't really customize the way that you want the report to look. They want it to look the same no matter what software it was done in. The validator panel is kind of unchanged. It kind of does the same thing. And the response panel pretty much operates the same as well. If I come over here to subject property and I go to the city field, I can double click city and there it is. Or I can hit F2 and pick it from a menu, etc. Or I can hit F4. So hit F4, boom, puts it in there. So that's pretty much unchanged. Adding in a photo is kind of unchanged. Right now, you are going to browse it in using something that is very similar to the image manager. So if I select house photos here, I can double click that and now I can put the house photo in. The true image manager and comp manager right now do not work in UAD 3.6, but they will work in October. So you're probably not even, you can't even, this is still public preview. We haven't passed GSE validation yet. We're ahead of every other software provider in doing this. We're the first that is going to complete this. But we're going to complete it in like late September, early October. So once that public beta, so like now it's public preview, we will announce our public beta. Then you will actually be able to start accepting UAD 3.6 reports and then doing them and delivering them. You'll be able to actually spit out MISMO XML 3.6. Right now you can't, but you can come in here and you can play around with this. I have been recommending that people come in here and like either take one of the GSC scenarios that you can get at their website, or maybe take a UAD 2.6 report and use that as a kind of basis to start filling out a UAD 3.6 report, or do an appraisal on your house or your sister's house or something like that. But the way you fill this out, very similar, lots more pull downs, lots more check boxes. And the way that this works is as you start checking these check boxes, Right now, there's no sales contract in this report, so it just says sales contract, no. As soon as I say yes, things start happening. Things start filling in here. Things start morphing, because remember, this is a dynamic report. So I can come up here and do 550,000. I can type in a date here if I want, or I can use a date picker, and then I can use pull down menus here. Say this is a short sale. And there's a little text box here for total sales concessions. And the cool thing here is I can start typing, and if I need more space, the little text box here just keeps getting bigger. And I can put as much stuff in there as I want. And that's the way that all of the text boxes are in the new UAD. There are no more extended comment addenda. Everything you just type everything you want directly into these text fields, and they just grow as they need to. And then you can also add exhibits. Now, right now, you can only add in an exhibit if it is a JPEG image. So if you have a PDF that you want to add in, you have to convert that PDF to an image, to a JPEG first, before you can put that in. Now, that is a GSE requirement. They don't want PDFs. Everything has to be a JPEG when it goes into the container file. Now, that being said, this is not tenable for you to be able to, need to put a 7-page PDF in here as an exhibit and then have to convert each one of those pages to a JPEG. So by October, by around Halloween or so, we will have PDF conversion built in. It'll automatically convert a PDF. So you can click on here, you could browse in a PDF, and then it'll automatically convert the PDF for you. By the end of this month, you will be able to paste images into here directly instead of having to browse them in. So what you'll be able to do is to pull up a, let me find a PDF real quick. Okay. If I have a PDF here, this is just a gibberish sample PDF. I'm using Foxit Reader, which I think rivals Adobe Acrobat, and it's free. But if you're using Adobe Acrobat, it has a similar tool. But in Foxit Reader, it's called Snapshot Tool. So I can use this to select this page. And then I can say it's been copied to the clipboard. I say, okay. And then by the end of this month, what you'll be able to do is come in here and just say paste, and then it'll paste it in there for you. So that's going to be a stopgap measure until we have the automatic PDF conversion that should be in there by, say, Halloween, maybe early November, somewhere in there. So that's a quick look at the UAD 3.6 interface. One thing I would recommend that you do if you want to know more about the UAD 3.6 interface, of course, make sure you take your CE, but also you can click on YouTube here in Appraise-It Pro. It's going to take you to our YouTube page. And if you come over here to live and scroll down a little bit, these are the ones that are currently, here's the one we're doing right now. These are the ones that are scheduled right now. But if you come back a little bit, you'll see webinar, the new UAD in Appraise-It Pro. And you can just select that and you can actually watch it. So every report or every webinar that we do in Appraise or for on YouTube, it gets recorded automatically and it gets archived here. And then I usually trim them up so you don't have to have that big, long musical sequence at the beginning. Okay, what I want from you guys now is if you have any questions, I want you to go ahead and get them in. The chat is going to be over on the, by default, it's going to be over on the right-hand side, but it may also be down below if you've put the video into theater mode or if you're watching on a phone or a tablet. But go ahead and ask any questions you have now. I know that some of you are going to be a little bit shy. Some of you may not be signed into YouTube. Some of you may be watching this after the fact. If you have any questions, feel free to email me directly, training@sfrep.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have in regards to, moving over to Appraise-It Pro, about the UAD 3.6, whatever it may be. Also, we now have a dedicated trainer. Some of you have dealt with Lindsay in the past, but she is now our dedicated trainer. So if you need help in making the move over to Appraise-It Pro from Appraise-It Classic, you can book time with her. And you can do that by calling our sales office at the 800-523-0872 number. which you can also use both these numbers go to the same place. You can use 800-644-4051, or you can email training@sfrep.com and you can book time with her. So just you an email, say, hey, I'm looking to do some one-on-one training. And then she'll email you back and you guys can talk about, what type of time frame that you want to do. Usually you should block out about an hour. She can log into your computer, see what you're seeing, and assist you in filling out your first UAD 2.6 report. And when the time comes, she'll also be able to do that with you and help you in filling out your first UAD 3.6 report. Now remember, both she and I are not appraisers, so you need to go do your CE, but we will show you how to actually fill out the report in Appraise-It Pro. All right? So no questions. So hopefully I've covered everything and you don't have any questions. But if you do have some questions later on, once again, training@sfrep.com, and I'll be happy to answer any of them for you. I'll even give you my number. If you want to text me, get a pen and paper ready. If you want to text me, you can text me on my office number. Now, if you call this number, I'll probably be busy and I won't answer the phone. You can leave a voicemail, but you can always text me at any time at this number. It's 828-919-9082. That's 828-919-9082. We have a fancy voice over IP phone system. I'm at home. We all work from home. So you can text me on that number and it goes to my phone and I can reply to it from my desktop. So it's a great way to get in touch with me. I'll answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope that you are feeling a little bit better about moving over to Appraise-It Pro. And so hopefully it's not going to be that big of a deal for you. And once you nail Appraise-It Pro and kind of know how to use it, moving over to the UAD 3.6 is going to be equally as easy. It's going to be a no-brainer for you. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care, drive safe out there, and stay cool because it's still hot in a lot of areas of the country. We'll see you later.